I think it's kind of working. Yeah. There's that goofy-looking guy. Well, I know I probably forgot something, but we'll get started.
We can see you.
Uh-oh. That's already getting off to the wrong start.
Are we going new style or old style this time?
You know, there are a lot of styles that we could do, but either new or old works better.
I think the old sounds better.
All right, well, I think it's going to be kind of an old style.
Goldell will be standing by.
I'm just running out of desk space. You know what I want to do is I want to see if the jingle singers who appear to be ready are going on, and I've got everything set up here. So here we go, the Old Tube Radio Network.
How do you do, ladies and gentlemen?
Greetings to you.
Wherever you are, for music and the latest news from home and from afar, the station for you is
OTR, Old Tube Radio.
the station for you is
OTR.
And we hope the station for you tonight is OTR. That's the Old Tube Radio Network, a conglomeration of items of interest, stations, old radios, old radio operators here on 27085 in the Central Valley of California. We have been gathering here on this channel for well over 30 years on Saturday evenings to talk about, talk with, and basically parade around in our old tube radio. So we hope you can join us tonight. We start with the direct and net roll call with the shortwave listeners of, you might be one, or maybe you're listening in. You don't have to be on any list to participate, ask questions. We're streaming at oldtuberadio.net if you are already there. And it appears that the live video stream is up and running that in theory should be archived for later viewing. So all perhaps is well in the universe. Going to get started with the roll call here, and then we'll discuss other items of interest as necessary. So with that, let me find the list here, and we will go to our current. I just had to redo everything because the old one was falling apart. Our current 00, which I believe is Phil.
Well, correct, Dennis. Good evening to you in the net. 00, checking in.
We've got you checked in for 8/17/2019. Got to make sure that I've got all my ducks in a row here. Let me check the video for a second. And what I'm going to do, so we don't have to look at me, is click on this and there we go. We've got the S meter. You can give yourself a report. We've got you checked in, and we'll be grabbing you in just a little bit again for another check-in. SWO, you know what you also have to do here is do the confirmation at oldtuberadio.net. You will see your number go by, and it will say you've checked in, just like SWL number 1. How about SWL 2? And I will refresh my other pages because you might be checking in at oldtuberadio.net, which you can, or checking in at the YouTube video, which is appears to be up and running, which you can. How about SWL 3? Shortwave listener 4. SWL 5. I saw Ida today, actually, when I was over at Glen Agnes, and she says, she's looking good. She said, say hello to everybody, and to make sure she gets checked in. So we will do that. SWL 6. SWL 7.
SWL 7, checking in.
SWL 7 checking in. Sounding good, as always, with the big signal. Thanks for listening. Then we head over to 11 and 12. Jim and Lisa checked in via email over to SWL 13. Mike checks in via one of the sources sometimes. Sometimes he gets on the air. SWL 14. SWL 15, SWL 16, shortwave listener 17, SWL 18, SWL 19, SWL 20.
Proxy 20.
Proxy 20. I will proxy 20. Might be listening in at oldtuberadio.net. I know this station is SWL 21. That is Mr. JT out there in the Wasama Swamps of South Carolina, where tonight he featured on Old Radio Night, the Courier 23 Plus, and a BL100, which was a really cool-looking matching amplifier, or I'm sorry, it was a, what do they call it, reverse preamp. Anyways, very great-looking vintage station, beaconing on the air, out there where he is at. Next, we will check in, or try to check in SWL 22, SWL 23.
For me.
Oh, hello, over.
Number 20 here. I can't move as fast as I usually can, but I'm back. SWL number 20. And I will have this radio to check in. I've got the range boost on because I had a request for range boost tonight. This one, hopefully, it receives fine. The transmit, I had to jury rig it to get it to do 11. And then one of these days I'll get it fixed.
Okay, I don't know how much fixing it needs. It's very loud. Sounds really good and nice right now. We'll talk more about it. And thanks for your speedy entry into the room. Sorry about that, but we do have you checked in, and you can be at ease, I guess.
Okie doke. Do 2954 and 84 and the family.
All right, I've got that on my notepad here to do. Good to hear you on, and we will talk to you a little bit later. Looking forward to chatting about that radio and other things. Thanks for checking in, Harvey.
Okay, and by the way, when you look at the posts, look for someone from the Kansas City area. The city is, I think, pronounced Iona or something like that, Iola, but it might show up as Kansas City. Anyway, I'm kind of interested to see if he is listening tonight. Okay, thank you.
All right, I think I'm going to make the rounds over to the other screen here in just a moment after we get through page one and see exactly who is tuned in at the moment. And we'll keep an eye and an ear out for the other station. Yes, no matter where you're at, if you have the Universal Media Netweb, you can tune in on Saturday evenings to the Old Tube Radio Network at oldtuberadio.net. Who would have thunk? Thank you, Harvey. Let me call SWL 23. SWL 24. SWL 25. And then I'll turn the page. But before I do that, and again, I'm not radioactive on the 2-meter side, so if there are some check-ins there, I will need a relay. On the big board, listening in at oldtuberadio.net, way up in the, we'll be right there, way up in the balcony, jumping up and down, throwing popcorn. No, eat the popcorn. Don't throw it down at me. Hendersonville, Tennessee. We've got Canby, Oregon, Washington and Washington waiting, breathlessly waiting for the E-skip to happen. I don't know. I haven't been monitoring the beacons. Who knows? North Fork, load to Huntington Beach, station in the UK in Lytham, I think. Florence, Kentucky, Tulare, Washington, Woodland Park, Colorado, also listening in for some E-skip. Columbus, Ohio. Beaconing to the Jingle Singers, no doubt. Williamsport, Maryland, Englewood, Colorado. Boy, we get some, Skip, we might have a lot of stations trying to get into us. Dallas, Georgia, coming up to you. Hello, New York. Hagerstown, Maryland has been on in the front row, like camping out. They've been camping out, waiting for the Old Tube Radio Network to start. And a host of others over at the video side, which appears to be working. Let me scroll up. Do I have the video confirmation? Yeah, it is working. Hello, Big John 313 and the Mighty Juliet Whiskey, KJG 4756, and Wayne. Good morning from Friar Tuck in Nottingham. And last week, well, a couple of weeks, YouTube stopped doing the video streaming, and so it required me to download various encoding devices and try to get them to work and match them up with YouTube. And finally, after much hand-wringing and hair-pulling, I think I have got one configured here that appears to be working. So we'll see what happens. Hello to Smarty in New York. And Corey says he can't find a Heil PR40 in stock anywhere. You know what? I think they may have done some other upgrade. The 30's still around. The 40's still around. 20 would be a good choice. There are some other good choices. He's making something else, so good luck on finding one. He found a used one. Might get a pretty decent price. 428, 256, and 111 in Squamish, British Columbia, waiting for the DX to happen. Thank you, Private Thor. We'll continue over on page 2 with the roll call. Of course, the radios will be coming up after that, and I can finally unkey here. SWL 27. SWL 29, we have a proxy check-in. And then we will skip over to SWL. My clicking device isn't working. There we go. SWL 31. Robert and Teresa right way up in the balcony tonight, saying hello. Hope you are having some good DX and radio happenings where you are at. Over to SWL 32. SWL 33, myself, Bozo Control, the Jingle Singers, and all the ships at sea, at least those who are here at the Old Tube Radio Network studios this evening. Over to SWL 35, and I think I saw a Cheyenne, Wyoming near the top of my screen. Mr. Bill's really good about timing his post to be just about when I'm going to check him in. There he is, checking in from cool Cheyenne, Wyoming. Yeah, you know, late August is pretty much the start of winter there, I would bet. It is not cool. It was cooler today, from a cooler today Fresno, where I think it was 100 or 102, not 107. And there's a breeze, and the barometer is dropping. So we might see 95. Good to have you on board there, Mr. Bill. Next, we have SWL 36. SWL 37.
SWL 37 checking in, Dennis. And also, could you proxy add in, I believe it's number 43, I think.
That would be Crazy Eddie. I will do that.
And I thank you.
And I thank you. And if you make it into the radio room sometime before 10 o'clock, we will probably hear you again. Maybe more than once. Thanks for checking in.
Okay, well, there's a possibility.
It's possible. Yes, indeed. We will be checking in your favorite glow-in-the-dark tube radios, the ones that were made for Class D. Maybe not even Class D. I don't know. Anybody got a Viking Valiant or a Ranger or an old Collins? We'll check it in. Old Heathkit, the Apaches, qualified, DX100. Anyway, we'll be checking in the classic radios from 1958 to 1978 that glow in the dark with the vacuum tube. Next on the list, SWL 39. SWL 40. 40 was in earlier. He'll probably be back. He has a brand new big-time radio that he is doing the peek and tweak on. Over to SWL 42. SWL 43, just proxied in moments ago. Crazy Eddie. Over to SWL 44. The video is going tonight, so expect to possibly see Ray and the gang when they get a chance to check in here. How about SWL 45?
Hey, congratulations. Looks like you got everything working, Dennis. 45.
Ha! You say that now. Just wait until the end of the program here. Now, it appears to be functioning. I don't know if it's any better or worse. It's different controls, but that's a good thing. So always, for those who are interested in the video part, or that's a good way to check in. Glad to have that up and running so that we can get as much input as possible. You're sounding great. Looking forward to your radios tonight.
Yeah, you're sounding good yourself. 45 checking in.
And someone was mentioning the noise floor does seem to be low tonight. All the bad stuff is blown out of the air. It's mainly dust. SWL 46.
Station.
I tell you, wash your car, and 48 hours later, you got to wash it again. Station, go ahead.
Yeah, can we proxy 42 in the game?
Yes. Let me just back up here, and we'll start. We'll start with Mr. KW himself, and then I will grab the others as we move along. Thanks for that.
Thank you.
Let's see, 45 we called. Let's try 46. SWL 46. SWL 47. SWL 48. Oh, I didn't scroll down far enough to see who else is out there. Okay, all right. Bob and Steve, of course. Sounding good from Ohio to Ohio. The Jingle Singers have wine on the way. Yeah, they're still in my iced tea. So hope the wine shows up. And I agree. Good to see the video is working. Maybe we'll get Mr. Announcer to step in front of the camera. He is kind of camera shy. SWL 48. SWL 49.
Hello, Dennis. Hello to the net. The 49er is checking in. Hope everyone is being cool and staying cool out there. Thank you for the check-in, and you guys have a super fine one.
Well, because I'm not quite that cool, I can't even snap my fingers. I'm thinking cool, though, and that helps when it's 80-something, 86 in the Radio Shack here. But it will be heading down. You are sounding great, by the way, Brian. We've got you checked in.
Hey, thank you much. A little bit of that Timtron audio going on. Take care, take care.
And Mr. HLR, that sounds great. Let's see, where are we going? SWL 50. I wonder what Tim would think about this. I've never heard his thoughts on CB radio. I have a feeling he would have some thoughts on that. But that aside, the fact that we are promoting that we are promoting YAM, and we constantly try to have less than yellowy audio, and it's the tube radio sound, he might just go for it. I don't know. So all you stations out there in New York, tell Timtron to. No, there's no way. I guess he could listen in. He's usually over at the shortwave station, I think. Maybe he'll put us on the air. All right, where are we going? SWL 50. SWL 51.
SWL 51 checking in.
And there's some more great audio that Mr. HLR would be pleased to hear. Sounding good, Dave. We got you checked in.
Thank you, Dennis. Have a good evening.
And Robert, SWL 31 checking in about no DX here today. I've heard people saying that just hasn't been much of anything going on. I was listening in earlier on 20 meters. There's a big contest going on. The signals were there but weak. I heard people complaining all day on 40 meters how lousy it was. And the contesters that had the kilowatt and the big beams would coax each other to say, let's try 15 meters. And on a one-to-one, like a schedule thing, because we're not sure the band is open. So that's how sorry things are here at the very bottom start of cycle 2425, but you know it's going to get better. SWL 52. SWL 53.
Hello, Dennis. 53 checking in.
Hello, Bob. 53 is checking in. And I will indeed get you checked in here at the bottom of page. You know, I need to reconfigure these pages, and then I realize it may change where people are in the lineup, and I'm thinking, well, that would be very confusing if you were no longer at the bottom of page 2. So I'll have to see. I'll have to see if there's an alternate way to do this. Anyway, we got you checked in.
Thank you, Dennis.
I know that would be confusing to me. The Cosmic Check-in, SWL54, who is probably out there listening, making sure all those radios that he worked on for the last 30 or 40 years are checking in and sounding good. Let's head over to, or up to, I should say, SWL55.
55 checking in from 65's house.
Oh boy, where it's always pleasant. Maybe not. Maybe in the middle of December it could be a little dicey, but I bet it's nice right now. A wind blowing across the valley. Maybe there's actually some view. A nice sunset and all of that. You are sounding good, sir.
Thank you, Dennis.
And the guy that got the program started off out there in Fresno has various areas. They have the tower. We got a check-in from the tower. I'm in Midtown. Got some people out in the northwest side, Old Fig, New Fig, but I think this is our Old Fig station, SWL 56.
56, checking in.
Sounding good, sir. Thank you, Phil. Let's try SWL. We go up to 58. SWL 59. And eeny, meeny, miny, mo, which radio is going to be keyed up today? SWL 60.
No, it's going to be this one, Big Jake's bass. SWL 60 saying evening time to the fellas out there, and we're anxious to hear those old radios. Let's check in Big Jake's bass, the DX2527.
Like you, me too. That's the one that's on the chart here, the DX2527. Joe, Jake, and all the rest. SWL 60 sounding good. Thank you. SWL 61. SWL 62. SWL 63. Bubba and all those stations listening in from New York. I know we had a few at the start. Yeah. We got our New York station. Who was it? Somebody said hi to me. I was testing the video this afternoon. Feverishly, fervently testing this video, trying to get it to work, and then I wasn't paying attention much to a lot of things. And then when I went back and looked at my playback, there was, who was it? Somebody out of New York, waving a hand saying, "We hear you. I see you." So good deal. All right, next we've got SWL 54. I'm sorry, SWL 64. Going the wrong way. SWL 65.
SWL 65 checking in.
SWL 65. Hello, Eric. Sounding good. Here on the Old Tube Radio Network. We're in just moments, we'll be talking with those old tube radios. Thanks for checking in.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
SWL 66. SWL 67. SWL 68.
I'm not 68, but how about 47?
47 we can do. My chart is right in front of me, and I click on that right there, and we go to the analog side, wherever that might be, and put an X in the proverbial square. All right. It's like grading homework, isn't it? Got you checked in. Over.
Oh man, that's a great comment. You never cease to amaze me with some comments. Yeah, it wasn't homework. It was the chicken farm that was preoccupying my thoughts. So sorry about the tardy check-in. Anyways, greetings from the radio lounge, obviously SWL 47.
Yeah, everybody is sounding good tonight. The band, the local frequency is in good shape. Back to your item of interest, and of course we'll be out here until 10 o'clock and then some tonight for your dining, dancing, and sea-being pleasure. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, we are back over to page 3. If you're following along, we called 68. Let's try SWL 69. Or any updates? SWL 70. I bet Mark will be in. He checked me in. See, I owe him one. He checked me in Wednesday night on the Wednesday night 10-meter net. Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time at 28.445. Check your 28.445 SWL radios on Wednesdays and see if the Central Valley is coming in. That's the net. You might hear some familiar voices on that one. Speaking of a familiar voice, here is SWL 71, Stan out of Dallas, Georgia, who I know he had something. Yeah, he said checking in, working NAQP. Did not know about it until 3 hours ago. What was there was a contest. Is that what the contest was on 20 meters? There was something, CQNA, is that what I was hearing? I don't even remember. I just had it on in the background. But that was a 20-meter activity that was going on today. California's booming here on 20 meters. Yeah, that's where I was. I wasn't hearing California. I was hearing the guys talking to California. Worked California, Hawaii on 35 watts. Been working FT4 and FT8. I'm not even sure what FT4 is. FT8 earlier, and I forgot to turn the power back up. On the 7300. Well, you know, in those digital modes, sometimes you don't need a lot of power. So that's good. You were semi-QRP, working 10 California stations in the last 3 hours. Cool. All right. Well, that's good to know. That means we'll be able to chat whenever I get my act together. Probably at the end of cycle 25. I've got half of that. I've got 5 years to get things going. Thanks, Stan, for the upgrade. Sounds like you're having a good time on your various radios there. And that's what I was listening to this afternoon. I was working on my video. I was listening to the CQ guys on 20 meters. Next, continuing on, SWL 72. SWL 73. SWL 74. Shortwave listener 75.
Breako TR.
Hey, I know that voice, the Breako TR. Go ahead, over.
Yeah, this is 6-2, checking in from downtown Clovis. I was watching Johnny Carson, and it slipped right on by me.
Johnny Carson. Well, either you're picking up one of those signals that has gone around the universe. You might be watching a 1985 show, or you're watching one of the classic Johnny Carson items, and they're all pretty good. So that is a legitimate excuse for sure. But we do have you checked in, 62 on the big board, and we'll say tonight you SWL 62 checking in on frequency and on frequency. Over.
Thanks, Jim.
All right, so that is Mr. Rex there, Lucky Lindy. We called 75. Let's try SWL, over the tower, SWL 77.
77 over here on the Tower of Power in the Tower District. Boy, the noise floor is absolutely amazing, and everybody's stations are really sounding good out there.
I agree. Everybody's sounding good. All the items are sounding good. Stan, if you're listening, don't go away, Dennis. Stan, if you're listening, because Stan's got a 7300. I want Dennis to key up again. Listen to the audio. This is pretty much out of the box. He's doing a little bit with a microphone, but not much. Listen to this audio on AM out of the 7300. Take another transmission.
Well, hello, Stan, and a fellow 7300 waving a hand at you on the AM side. Hope you're getting a good earful. And 73s from 77.
All right. Well, see, I'm assuming Stan and I might try, and a lot of us might try some 10-meter AM up in the 10-meter AM window when the band starts opening up. And he's ready to go. He's got that 7300. There's nothing you have to do to that to make that sound good on AM. Most excellent. All right, Dennis, thanks for checking in.
Thank you.
SWL 79. SWL 80. Over to page 4. Radios are coming up. I will continue on here. Here's another station that was out as I was pestering them on the video. I guess some people have a thing that will ding you if I'm doing a live video stream, so I tried to not do too many. But Mr. Steve was helping me out this afternoon saying, yay, it's working. Hello, SWL 81.
Hello, right back to you, Dennis. Good evening night to you. And all the SWL old stream radio operators out there. Yeah, I've got my tablet or my device, they call it. I have my device set so I get a notification whenever OTR gets on the air or on the net, on notification. Yeah, there you were. I think at one point I was the only listener, only viewer, and then a little bit later there's two others out there. So, yeah, I got your message. Thank you, and you were coming in loud and clear. And the video was nice and clear as well. 81 checking in.
All right, sounding good. I realized there might be some things like that, so most of the testing was done offline, but to actually run the system and to make sure all the links work, I had to do a couple of live on-air tests, so if I messed anybody up, I apologize. Anyway, you're sounding good. Thanks for your feedback. That was like, hey, he can hear me. Yay! I know I'm doing it right. Thanks for checking in. And there is SWL 13. Hello, Mr. Cobra. I'm putting the big X in the square. Michael at oldtuberadio.net, waving a hand. And then we go back to page 4. No, we go back to page 4, and we were looking for SWL 82.
Can you proxy in 82 tonight, and also proxy in the other district of Biola 58?
Yes, I can do that. We will give Mr. Ron a check-in here, 82, and then Dr. Jeremy, SWL 58, a check-in as well. No problem. Thanks.
Thank you.
We'll also be checking in SWL 84, the Cheerios Kid. How about SWL 85, John in Reedley? And the break OTR, go ahead, over.
61, checking in.
61 we can do. I was in my listening mode. I was listening for Reedley. And then Dino came in there. Yeah, we've got you checked in, sir. Thanks.
Thanks, Dennis.
And did anybody hear the Reedley station, if indeed there was one? I think I saw Bob's post that things were just kind of difficult with my, as HLR would say, my yellowy audio here. So we'll keep an eye out for John. We'll also check in the Mountain Maid, Tandy Girl, and Snowy Owl. That will take us over to SWL 89. We'll also check in SWL 90. That will take us over to SWL 92. And I don't think I heard Chuck in on the Wednesday net. Usually I hear him pretty decent on sideband, so maybe he was away from the radios. Let's try SWL 93.
93 checking in, and good evening to all the SWL.
Good evening, good evening. You sound relaxed tonight and not out of breath, so they must be leaving you alone.
No, it's just been what's the word I want to use? Relaxing evening.
It is always a great way to relax in the radio room with the Old Tube Radio Network. Louie, you are sounding good, and we've got you checked in.
Thanks much.
The Old Tube Radio Network. Radios are coming up, and Mr. JT, Mr. DD21, we've got you checked in. Listened to the program tonight, had it on while we were doing items, and I noticed it seemed to get a little wild. And was that all local? It didn't sound like it was Skib. Sometimes those things happen, and there's no filter. There's no... Well, the way we do it at the radio station, we have a 20-second delay, but you would have been on that delay all night long. So that's the best way to do it. Just let it run out. Just let it, like pouring out your coffee. Just kind of let it trickle out and go into the earth. Anyway, we heard you. The radio was awesome. The radio was awesome. The BL100 reverse preamp was also awesome as well. Thanks for checking in. We are just about ready to end things here, if I will continue. So we are looking for... Who's waiting? Oh, Dave. Dave is waiting. SWL 98.
Howdy, checking in, Dennis.
All right, thanks for being patient. Sometimes I'm easily distracted. You wouldn't think so, but that's the way it goes. Sounding good, sir. I got you checked in.
Thank you, Dennis.
Let's try from the mobile, perhaps. SWL 103. Hello, Jeff. Boy, there's a lot of carrier, but no audio. Boy, there's a lot of carrier there, but I don't hear any audio. Okay, if that was a transmission, there was a good transmission, but no audio. As we say, the technical thing we say on the Old Tube Radio Network is check your wiggle meters. How about SWL 109? SWL 110? Shortwave listener 111, Robert, if you're listening, give it a try, but you will be checked in, sir. From Reedleytown, got Mr. Robert in there. Let's try. I know this guy's in here. SWL 114.
114, checking in.
SWL 114. I always look to see if you've pointed your beam or something, and they're 20 over, but no, you're still like 5 over 9, but sounding like 20 over. Thanks, Wayne.
Thank you.
Who's next? SWL 128. It's John Lee. Keep an eye out for him over to oldtuberadio.net. SWL 131. SWL 133. I heard something. Was that 133? It sounded like a station there. I don't think that's Dave, though. I would hear much better than that. Any relays would be appreciated if somebody hears something for the net here. How about SWL 135? Oh, I have a note to proxy in, Mr. Cliff. I will do that. I also am going to check in for AJ 137. That takes us to SWL 145.
Yeah, 145 on time today. Thank you, Dennis.
All right, and thank you, sir, for remembering the Saturday night place to be, your Old Tube Radio Network, where the classic radios will be beaconing in just a moment. Thanks, Tony.
Thank you. Glad to hear you got the video going again, so I can watch something to watch while I have my coffee on Sunday mornings there, Roger.
Yeah, on the big screen. And all that good stuff. We'll try and get some good radios for you tonight. We always get good radios. We'll try to get a lot of good radios. Let's put it that way. All right, next we have SWL 147. And if I scroll down, is that it's just 5 minutes ago? So says the item of interest. Let's see what's happened in Kakalaki. In Arlington. Playing with the band across the river. Wow, from the Pentagon. Did you have to have security clearance? Weather is hot. Radio very quiet. Yeah, that's just the way it is here. Radio's bad, weather hot. Summer skip is over. Well, you would think. I think we still have some more, but I just don't know where it's at. Dr. Jazz doing his thing. Thank you. Thank you, Neil, for your reports and checking in. Let's head up to Course Gold for SWL 195. And then even farther up for SWL 226. And then take a listen for anybody that would like to get checked in or make a comment before we turn on the tube radios.
Very good, OTR.
Okay, hang on 140. Who was that station for OTR? I think you said it was Tom. Is this NQG? Okay, you are right. You are right in my noise level. I'm thinking this is NQG. All right, anyone hear that? I think it's 113.
It is 113 NQG.
All right, good deal. Sorry about my antenna's low. Tom, you are actually, I just redid the list, and you hadn't checked in for so long. 113 is sitting blank. Boy, you have good timing, sir, so I'm going to add you back to the list as 113. Over. All right. I think it was just so long. I thought, well, I know he's around, but maybe just didn't have a radio that could do that. So yeah, welcome back to the list, sir, and I hope to catch you on the other frequencies as well. All right, good to hear Tom back. All right, and that was looking kind of empty there. Here on page 4. Page 4, even though you have to be patient to get checked in, there are usually very few vacancies. And so, again, there are none. 113 is back on. All right, what are we going to do? I'll be back. Get ready for the video, which we have tonight, and your old tube radios. But first...
Me in, please.
Yes, but first I want to check in SWL 40, who is back in the radio room.
Thanks.
And I will be resetting the audio stream shortly.
Get down. And you just might be listening to the Old Tube Radio Network.
How do you do? Ladies and gentlemen, greetings to you. Wherever you are, for music and the latest news from home and from afar, the station for you is
OTR, Old Tube Radio.
The station for you is
OTR.
And we know the station for you is OTR, the Old Tube Radio Network. Real radios glowing in the dark. Beaconing from Channel 11 in the Central Valley of California, 27085 on your Universal Media Net web at oldtuberadio.net, and who knows where else. We are listening for those classic tube radios, thanks to our classic tube radio operators and collectors here on the Old Tube Radio Network. We are standing by.
45.
And as SWL number 1 used to say, Jim would say, stand by no longer. Hello, Paul.
Hello, Dennis. Well, I got the big gun out tonight. My Golden Eagle Mark IV.
Sounds good. Nice and loud audio. Give me a chance to see if I've got my video set up to do the pictures here properly. So I've got to find the Browning Laboratories. And we don't have the best, I know we could get better pictures. We don't have the best pictures of the Mark IV, but your audio will suffice because it sounds very nice. So over to you for a transmission on the Mark IV, over.
Yeah, okay. So that's a 40-channel radio. Got AM and SSB. The manufacture date's 1977, so it's pretty well without a recent radio, but recent radio for the tube radios. It's a big radio, 31 inches long, giant radio. I'm talking on a Turner CS1 Custom Special Turner microphone. Didn't have the original mic with it, but it likes this particular mic, so I'm going to stay with it. It's got quite a few other things to talk about, but I'll let you go ahead for a while.
Well, we're supposed to let the radios do the talking, which you've done quite well with the Mark IV. 77 would be about right. I think 76 was the last production date for the Mark III. Why? Because that is when the FCC said, okay, it's okay to be 40 channels as long as you're crystal controlled, since most of you are up there anyway. I'm showing that indeed 77 is the first production run of these, and I don't know how many they did. They only went a year or two. And I think if they started with Browning, they ended with somebody else producing them for Browning, and the price was just around $900. So a pretty fair chunk of change. Yours is sounding great, nice and loud. We do have the audio or the video archives back, so you'll be able to watch it back and give yourself a radio report. Over.
Well, I'll be glad to hear that. I was hoping. I figured you had it working. I listened to you today 2 or 3 different times when you were testing it. It sounded good, so I think we got it going. Anyway, this thing's a hybrid. That's the only bad thing about it. I guess I call it bad. A lot of people like the hybrids. I don't. It's got 10 tubes in the receive, 8 tubes in the transmitter. It's got plenty of tubes in it besides the hybrid lock loop circuit. That's what it says it is. And it's got LED readout. Of course, that shows you right there that it's a hybrid. And actually, this is the last CB radio that Browning made. It's a very impressive radio, very big radio. Nice looking. I like the looks of it, but I like the looks of the 3 better. But that's just my personal opinion. Back to you.
I might agree with you there. This is a little bit more modern styling. There's nothing wrong with it. But you can't beat for the impressiveness the Mark III with the way they had everything laid out across and the knobs and the Flying Eagle and all that. But this one sounds good. It looks good. It is our first radio of the evening at 8:47 from Browning Laboratories, the Browning Golden Eagle Mark IV. The end of an era for sure, as things started kind of changing and winding down. 40 channels. I think at one point they estimated there were probably 4 million people licensed or on the air somewhere. Way more at that time than probably 4 or 5 times the radio population of an amateur radio. But it was popular, and this is one reason why. Lots of great radios. Not that there aren't today, but we're glad that our radio operators can sort of share with us the classic radios of yesteryear and how much fun those of us who are around had. Give us another transmission on the Browning. It sounds good, nice and loud. You will be pleased when you hear that one back. Over.
Okay, well, Maximire's got a big on there light on the left-hand side over there, top side. Below that's AM, of course. That sideband, not running it. But then the meters are gigantic, as usual, brownish stuff. Just top-of-the-line radio. And I'm sure glad you got it checked in. I got it checked in so I can listen to it. Thanks, Dennis.
Thanks for bringing it by. That's what keeps us going here on the Old Tube Radio Network, is all the great radios. Back to the control room, and we are listening for radio number 2.
Number 7.
And number 7 with perhaps another Browning Laboratories, and unless you've made room on the radio table, I'm going to say you probably don't have a Mark IV, but you could.
Yeah, no, this one is the Browning Golden Eagle R68 T68.
I can tell by the screaming eagle ping. I was just kidding you there. I knew exactly what radio that was when it fired up. Let me go to the brochure ad. And I hope that Harvey is listening on his device, because he will definitely enjoy, if I can get the video to straighten out here, he will definitely enjoy listening to your mellifluous audio all the way across town. Back to you.
Oh, well, there we go. Well, it's due to Harvey. This sucker's back on the air, so definitely kudos to him. Oh, and this one has the Browning banana-type microphone.
An all-original classic, just like we are showing in the video. The microphone, if you're not familiar, I can point out, the microphone is right there. It comes out of that stand. That's a little base with an indent, and the microphone sits in that, and then you lift the microphone out of the base. So unlike a D104, where you're holding the microphone and the bass, or any Turner desk mic, pretty ingenious the way they said, well, let's keep the bass on the table, because you don't need to be holding that in your hand, and we'll make it more like a hand mic, but it can be like a desk mic. So cool stuff. Audio is great. We'll go back to you for transmission on the original, or the first of the Golden Eagle series, starting in 1967. Only produced for about a year until they switched over to the Mark II. But in that year, they actually had two different flavors, the Series 1 and the Series 2, and I think yours is a Series 2. Original price, boy, how did we go from, in 1976, $900? This was just under $400, so a bargain, right?
Definitely a bargain. A bargain at twice the price. Anyway, with that, we'll go ahead and take a standby and maybe even get another radio on.
Sounds good to me. The Old Tube Radio Network with radio number 2 at 8:54. Thanks to our radio operator, Mr. Ed, on the Browning Golden Eagle R68 T68, and we're listening for Radio 3. Had to refresh my chat window. It's in a different format, and the comments scroll off the screen. So I missed you, Brian. KUH, the mighty KUH, is waving a hand to Old Tube Radio Network and all the ships at sea. Hope all is going well, Brian, and there are no disasters or catastrophes in the Radio Shack, which I don't think there are. Probably out there doing. There's contesting going on tonight. 20 meters might still be open for the guys with the big, 5/5/5 stacks and a kilowatt. But in the meantime, we'll take our 5 watts and our tube radios, listening for Radio 3. All right, I'm going to just adjusted the RF gain on the receiver to bring the noise level down another 10 dB. So if you're listening in on headphones or something, it doesn't drive you nuts. Well, school has started here in California, at least Central California. I think everybody's in, all grades. And man, what a difference in the traffic, especially in the morning, 7:30 to 8, and in the afternoons at 2 to 3. You would think it was Christmas. With all the people driving around, or whatever they do. Whatever they do. You know how it is? We used to walk to school, right? Isn't that how it was? I'm not sure. With our walkie-talkies. You don't want to be driven to school. You want to sit there with your walkie-talkie. Looking for radio number 3. At the top of the hour, this is the Old Tube Radio Network.
How do you do? Ladies and gentlemen, greetings to you. Wherever you are, your favorite spot on the dial by far is known to you as
OTR, the Old Tube Radio Network.
The station for you is
OTR.
Looking for Radio 3. Yeah, with the exception of a contest or two, it is quiet. Everybody is mentioning that it's quiet. This is the calm before the storm, no doubt. And let's see. I was trying to coax the jingle singers into doing something super special. They seem to be a little bit shy. Who's still listening in tonight? It's a quiet evening. Still plenty of times for barbecues. Maryland's in, New York's in, Dallas, Georgia's in. Hello, California. You got the UK stations, Tennessee, South Carolina, Oregon, Washington, waiting for the skip. And hello to Southern California out there in Hermosa Beach. We're here in Fresno. We are listening for and awaiting those classic tube radios. And there was a carrier, but no audio. OTR listening. That was too quiet.
45.
I heard that one loud and clear. Hello, 45, over.
Yeah, Dennis, sorry about you. I know the radio was set up to go, and of course we decided not to cooperate. So I pulled this one off the shelf, and it seems to be working all right. This is my Sonar Model E.
Yeah, Sonar's doing a good thing with the Sonar audio. I thought I heard, or I did hear, a carrier a couple times, but there was no audio, so perhaps that was you. Let me find the Model E. Why am I not saying anything on my Sonar list? So I must be on the wrong page here. There it is, Model E. Take a transmission, and I'll see if I can't find... I've got one from... Oh, Cliff's got a great picture, so we'll use that Model E, and we will be chatting with you on the Sonar. Over.
Yeah, okay. Well, if you heard the other radio, that was encouraging, because I was showing good modulation, good everything, but you weren't answering, so proves there's a problem out there somewhere. Anyway, this is Sonar Model E, and it's quite a nice radio. I'll tell you, it's got a gigantic microphone on the thing. It's not a metal mic, it's a plastic microphone. This one was manufactured approximately in 1961. And as the Sonars are a great radio, this is just a greater radio. Nothing fancy about this thing. It doesn't have a meter on it or nothing like that. It's an 8-channel radio, is what it is, and it's got a VFO receive on the thing, plus that channel. So it's a 9-tuber. And let's see, what else can I tell you about it? Quite a bit of other things. I've had another radio. I used to have 3 radios, but with that big old radio I had on front there, I don't have room for it. So I had to put a little one in, and this is another little one that fits in the side of it. I need to get a new transmitting bed. Anyway, back to you.
What do they say? You got to need a bigger boat or a bigger Radio Shack. Sonars were never that fancy, although when you look at this, it's got a nice complement of knobs. I mean, it's not quite the ICO 762 with a microphone and a knob, but of course, with the Sonars, the thing is the loud audio. Just about every sonar that checks in, or I'm going to say every sonar that checks in, no matter the model number, always has that great audio. And I probably, part of it is the giant transducer there, the microphonium, which is just sneaking into the right side of the page here that probably helps out. But again, the engineers were pretty smart about figuring out what microphone would make their device sound pretty nice. Do I have a manufacturer year? No, I just says Model E. So back to you, but obviously this was probably, I'm sure there's somebody out there listening who knows exact date, but probably 1963, I would say, 62, something like that.
Yeah, you're close. I've got 1961. It's in the August 1961 Popular Electronics magazine. That's what kind of gave me the idea on the thing, so I'll probably put it down there pretty low. It's one of the newer ones. I'm getting the feedback in here. Is it kind of strange to you, Dennis?
No, it sounds good. I'm not hearing, whatever you're hearing, I'm not hearing. And it appears there was an accessory for that. We were talking about the S-meter. Well, there it is. It's huge. It's an add-on device with the Sonar logo. And it's a signal strength meter. It might do some other things. I see there's a cord, a wire coming out of it. It probably plugs in somewhere. But they did make an aftermarket or an add-on S-meter. But you're sounding good. I don't hear any wackiness. Over.
Yeah, I wish I had that meter up there that Chris got on his. It's the same radio as his. It's a little better than mine, better looking than mine. It seemed to have that look. This one isn't all that fancy. Of course, it's not that big a radio. Actually, I believe it's designed for mobile. It's got the bracket on the thing to hang in the mobile. And the voltage on the thing, let's see what a good voltage on the thing is. Guess what, I don't have that written down on here. You probably can tell me. Back to you.
Probably would go 150 or 12 volt or 6 volt if it was an early 61. And a lot of the radios that came out did do dual service, mobile and base. And why was that? Because in theory, when you got your license, you needed a base. You needed 2 units, Unit 1 and Unit 2. CB radio was not meant to buy a radio and wait and talk to somebody. That was amateur radio. That was hobby communications. This was talking to, husband and wife or a business or whatever, where you'd have a unit, a base unit, a control unit, and how many other mobile units or auxiliary units you needed. So base and mobile would be a standard thing. In fact, what is Brian saying? Hey, there you go. He's got the new Jeep Cherokee Trailhawk. I'm not familiar with that, but maybe if you took out, Brian, if you took out the passenger seat, you could fit the Sonar Model E into the Cherokee. He says there's no room for radios, and it's probably not even the radios they make today. Well, this doesn't have a detachable faceplate, but I bet it would look good in the Jeep Cherokee or any vehicle for that matter. I don't know. Do you have a tractor, Paul? Maybe this would work on a tractor.
Yeah, I was an interesting thing in here going through it. I don't mean to interrupt you on what you're saying there, but I don't tell you about it if I forget about it. This is the first radio, the first Model E radio. And it came out in SAMS 2. And the revised one came out in SAMS 4. So I guess they had quite a bit of updates to do on the thing. So that's a couple of years different on the thing. It still shows 1961 in Popular Electronics, so I'm going to go with that. And that's about it. I would thank you for checking in, Dennis.
Interesting. While we got the video up, I'm going to switch pictures, get it in frame there. There is another Model E, not quite as nice conditions. Different, looks like a different knob setting. That one's not on. And then I've got one more picture that goes showing the inside. Let's see how that pops up. It's doesn't quite like that. I can fix that on the video. But there is the inside comp, and you can see the tube. You can see the tubes. And also, if I get the video right, the crystals that are lined up there for your, let's see, 2, 4, 6, 8 channels. So there's why it's so loud, I guess. It doesn't seem like much, but it does work. Radio number 3 is from Paul and also the Sonar Communications Corporation. Sounding really good. Thanks for bringing it by. That one's a good player.
Yeah, thanks for checking in. I'm anxious to watch the archives. It's going to be more fun. Thanks, Dennis. I'll try to get another one. If I can get one off the shelf that'll work, I'll try to check another one. Thanks. Oh, Harvey's going to be on there, so that'll be great.
Yeah, he gave us a teaser on a radio that was really loud. He did say he had the range boost on, but still had some nice audio. And we should be hearing from that probably a little later in this, or near the end of this hour. As a reminder, if you're watching the video, whenever it might be, whether it's live here on August 17th in the evening, or maybe a year from now, on August 17th, 2020, this is the Old Tube Radio Network. a conglomeration gathering of stations and individuals, collectors of the classic tube radios, tube CB radios. We hang out here on Channel 11 on Saturday evenings, very much like you might see the classic car aficionados hanging out at the hamburger stand on Friday nights. We do this on Saturday nights, and we've been doing it for about 35 years. And it's open to all, whether you have an old tube radio or not, to come in and make a comment and say hello to us. So we'll be standing by, looking for radio number 4.
Break OTR.
And the break OTR, you must have heard us talking about you, over.
Nah, actually, I was resting, fell asleep, woke up. What were you talking about?
We were talking about the Sonar radio, loud audio. We mentioned your prior check-in, and of course, the fact that you would be coming back at some point with the radio in question. And so there you go. So those are the things that happen on the Old Tube Radio Network.
Okay. This is a Lafayette HB-266. Took me forever to find one of these. I found it on eBay, was watching it. The guy took it off eBay because he said he put it on 9 times and nobody bid on it. I'm like, I missed it 8 other times. So I asked him and I said, hey, you want to sell it? And he said, well, I think I'll fix it up. And I go, well, fix it up or not. If you want to sell it, let me know. And he gets back to me and he says, how about X amount of dollars? And I go, okay, I don't care whether it works or not. It's just that I could never find one.
And you found one, and it was waiting for you. We don't have one. They must be pretty rare. We don't have one in our photo archives. I'm trying to find a decent picture that I might be able to put up here that would look good, and you could talk about it. It has great loud audio. It also has a nice kind of a snap. You know, when it keys up, I was almost thinking it might have been, you know, something like a tram. They usually have a snap like that. Okay, good. I think I've got a picture. HB-266. Yes, I do. So I will defer to the video, and we will talk about this item of interest that you have that's been unobtainium in your collection for a while.
Roger, unobtainium, you're right. You found a picture? Where'd you find that picture?
It is courtesy of... I've got the wrong glasses on tonight. www. Dallas Co. CB. I can't even read the... It's got a name, you know, courtesy name on somebody's site. It's got the channel. I don't even know how many channels it is. It was very hard. All the shots were bad. They were like, this is the best one that actually shows the front of the radio.
Okay. The Lafayette HB-266 is identical to, absolutely identical to, the Hammerlin CB-23. Same radio. Hammerlin made the Lafayette and put Lafayette HB-266 on front. Both radios are identical. No Sam's photo fact. In fact, if you try and look up, hey, where do you get paperwork on it? On the Lafayette, they say use the Hammerlin CB-23 paperwork. And they're right. It's the same radio. The reason I was looking for it is because it's so hard to find. It's kind of like the Johnson Messenger 223. A lot of people can find a Messenger 223, but can you find the one that they made for Sears? Well, it took me forever, and I found that a couple years ago. So I have that sitting here on the floor. It's identical to the 223, although it does have a couple, one or two little extra switches and a couple little logo differences, but it's same radio. Okay, this radio, same as the Hammerlin. Everything about it's the same except where it says CB and then below CB23 and below that Hammerlin. This one says Lafayette and below that HB266. Anyway, it arrived yesterday and it's receiving fine, but I'm holding it together to transmit. It transmits, but not quite on frequency. And I had to kind of figure it out based on the Hammerlin, and I jury-rigged it so it does one channel right now, 11. I'll get it fixed so it'll work properly. The microphone is a Turner plus 3 desk mic, which is probably turned up too much. The reason I'm using it is the microphone is supposed to be hardwired in, but somebody put a Cobra 4-pin plug on the front. I'm thinking about changing it back to the hardwired in, because I could probably get an oversized grommet and wire it in, but putting this on a shelf, it's a lot easier to disconnect the mic. Anyway, it looks really good. The gentleman from Kansas, Iola, Kansas, I-O-L-A, Kansas, a little southwest of Kansas City, Kansas, shipped it to me, and I've been talking back and forth with him, and hopefully he might tune in to the net. Anyway, I'm glad this thing isn't heavy because, as I said, I can't carry too much and I can't run, so I just started working on stuff again a couple days ago, so there you go. But right now it's working and I'm a happy camper. It's taken me forever to find this.
Well, I'm glad you found it, and I knew it looked like something when I brought it up, and you are correct. In fact, Stan SWL71 is confirming what you say about the same as the Hammerlin CB23. He says there is a manual on cbtricks.com, and he's probably put a link over at oldtuberadio.net. I didn't try it yet. What I'm going to do while I'm transmitting here and I'm live on the video, we have a great picture of a CB23. I think it's out of Cliff's collection. I'm going to just flop right over to that, see if it'll come up. And there it is. There's the CB. Oops, get it in frame. But there's the CB23. And you are right. Now that looks like the microphone's hardwired in, but the one we were showing, the Lafayette that I found, did have a mic plug. Oh no, that's okay. I take that back. That's the earphone. Wait a minute. I got to look at this again. Here's I'm showing the Hammerlin. The microphone is on the left side of the radio, and then there's a plug, probably on headphones or external speaker on the other side. I'm going to see if I can switch back over, because it's not in my database here, to the other radio. There we go. And notice it has both plugs. Okay, there is no microphone, but there's a plug. So it looks like there's a plug on both ends. 23 channels, obviously. And good you found that. I guess I should go back to the Hammerlin and find out what year that came out. And I hear you on the Sears. When I got into CB with my walkie-talkies, the Sears catalog, I think it was 1969, had the Messenger 223 with the SR, the little atomic SR logo on it. Always wanted one of those. The audio sounds really good. I don't think you're over-modulated. It's a little loud, so the audio, the high frequencies are just a bit scratchy, but not bad at all. I don't hear any flat topping. Lots of high frequencies. If you had a microphone like a Shure, I would be interested to hear how a Shure 444 would sound on that, a little bit mellower. You've got plenty of audio, so, but it sounds good, as you will hear when you hear the archives back. I will stop talking so you can make some comments. It sounds good.
Okay. Well, I appreciate that. I changed a couple of cabs, wired the desk mic because it was available. I just grabbed it, already had the plug on it and all that. The rareness of it is that, just couldn't find one. We talked about that Johnson. Well, a lot of companies, they made radios for who knows other people, but this was a radio from Hammerlin that they made for Lafayette. Now, I don't know exactly how many radios Lafayette actually made, but we know a lot of their chassis were Japanese, this or that, but they had a lot made. So for me, the rareness of the fact is a, quote, CB radio company like Lafayette, let's say, that made a lot of CBs, technically, had Hammerlin make this for them. Kind of like Sears, which wasn't into radios, had E.F. Johnson make the 223 clone, and then I think it's the Hallicrafters CB either 7 or 17. No, I think it's the 7. I'm going to say 7. Sears has a radio. It's got the name Sears on it, blah, blah, blah. But it's identical, other than with the Sears stuff on it, to the Hallicrafters CB7. And Larry, number 54, had that. And I said, well, if you ever get rid of it, I raised my hand. And when it was time for him to do that, he remembered my hand was still raised. So it's somewhere. Anyway, I'm kind of happy that I got this. Oh, look at this. My watch went off. It's one of those smart watches because I need things to help me be smart. And who is this? Oh, this is, okay. Somebody in Sanger says they can hear me. Well, yes, I have the little helper on because Paul wanted to hear me up in the mountains, so I have the helper on. That's why it's loud, Dennis. I can turn it off, but it's a little hard to reach for. Okay, I'll let you go. And while I've been recovering there, laying around doing nothing, this appeared on eBay. So I went after it because I wasn't busy doing anything else. Okay, Dennis, take care. I'm going to check in another one, and that should do it for me, and I'll be listening.
All right, thanks again. Good stuff. Don't go away. I do have a couple of questions, a few comments here. You would do well on 75 meters. That was a perfect, what we call old buzzard transmission. And that's not a derogatory thing. There was lots of information. It just went on, and it was perfect. And you could run around the room and do something and listen in. Harvey, you get the old buzzard transmission award tonight. That's the way YAM should be. Tim Tron would be proud. Who else? Lafayette DeWald. I think you're right. Lafayette didn't make a lot of their own stuff. DeWald made some of their earlier HE or HB models. That's an HB. Maybe it's the HA. And then as we are finding out here, this from Hammerland, and of course, Hallicrafters did some other things in the Sears Roebuck catalog. I tuned you in on sideband just at the end of that transmission, and I get you, and you probably already know this, at 27084.2. So about 800 cycles low. So it's not too far off. And I don't know if this is possible. We were talking about the Sears clone of the E.F. Johnson, and there's a request out if it's possible, because I know you're kind of limited on what you can lift and things, but if the Messenger, let's see, if the Sears clone of the 223 is nearby, one of the listeners would like to know what the model number is from Sears, because he'd like to see if he can find that in the SAMs. And he has several features he'd like to experiment with on a 223, and I think you said there were some different things. So if at some point in the not-too-distant future, even if it's not tonight, if you can get the model number off of the Sears E.F. Johnson clone. In the meantime, if you listen in on the audio archives, you will be pleased. The radio is just really loud. It's kind of piercing audio. I went to the other screen here. I haven't seen anybody from Kansas yet tonight. I haven't been looking all the time, but it is, I think we're on a 2-hour time difference, so it may be close to midnight. If they go to bed earlier, we might be on just a little bit late for them, but this video will be up. Yay, we're doing video tonight. I'm saying that in hopes that indeed it will be up. And if they have internet type stuff, which I guess they do, they'd be able to scroll along, and I've left the picture up long enough where it'd be easy to find. So back to you for a couple of comments, and then I know you want to get another radio, and some other people might want to check in. But whenever we get something new that's new to us, we like to chat about it a bit on the Lafayette HB 266. And I'm gonna go back to the picture of the Hammerland. Let me find out. I want to do that because I may have some info on it. No, I don't. I have no info. So back to you.
Okay. Well, the the CB23 Hammerland and the HB266, they're the ones that have the 3 sectors. In other words, 3-position switch on the front that gives you lower, mid, and upper channels of the 23 channels. Now, from the paperwork that I have, I have found that it seems to indicate that it was one of the earliest synthesized radios. You have 3 big crystals underneath, and then around the channel selector, you have a whole bunch of smaller ones all soldered in. And the 3 help change, or for the 3 sectors, etc. Now, Hammerland just had the CB23, but they made for Lafayette this one, which is obviously hard to find. I've only come across one, and I was really fortunate. Thank you, Dave, in Iola, Kansas, for being so nice to answer when I just sent the message and to work with me on this. And Hammerland Fort Lafayette also made the HB 222. Now, the HB 222 looks like the Lafayette of the day, kind of long from right to left, but a little longer maybe and a little lower, not quite as high up. And it's got the 3 sectors in it, but it looks more like a lot of the Lafayette kind of the time. And I found a couple of those on eBay, and I was able to bid on one and get it, and I have checked it in. But anyway, the Sears, I'm going to grab a book right now and lock down this mic and look it up.
Here comes another old buzzer transmission.
For that gentleman, because he's a gentleman.
He is.
There it is. I was right. It's the model 7535 in Sam's. I believe one of the last ones listed, the 7535. Now, the one that looks like the Hallicrafters, one of the numbers below that, I think, and I can't tell you offhand. And I believe it is in Sam's. Anyway, it's the 7535 Sam's Photo Fact, book number 27. And on the front, it says, you look at the meter, you look at the dial, in the upper left instead of Johnson Messenger, whatever, it says Sears. To the right, it says 23 channel. And then below the meter, Citizens two-way radio. Then you have your squelch, your volume, and your mic plug. And the desk mic is a Turner plus 2 unamplified Turner desk mic. And there is a switch to the left of the squelch that Johnson doesn't have. The Messenger doesn't have, but this does. But it's book 27. It's the 7535. If you go to the internet, look up Sears model 7535, you might find it. And it's also listed by the Sears number in Sam's next to the 7535. Their numbers in parentheses, and those numbers are the Sears actual numbers. But anyway, there you go. That's what it is. And the desk mic, I've seen a couple of them on eBay. In the head, there's this weird little, it looks like a couple of atoms wrapped together from the 50s or 60s type things, in where the little logo would be in the center of the head of the desk mic, and that's also on the radio in the place where I think Johnson Viking head would be. Okay, Dennis?
Perfect. And I found a very bad picture of one, but I went ahead and put that up as you were talking about the Sears radio, and I think JT probably has, hopefully, the information he needs from that, and it goes by the Silvertone. And he's got the, JT's got the information. I think they call it a 7535. Silvertone was their stuff, and it has that cool little SR atomic-looking logo on it. All right, good deal. I think we got what we needed. Over.
Okay. Alrighty. I'm going to do one more radio, but I got to take a break for a little bit, and then I'll do that radio. I'll be in and out, or am I? Yeah, I'll probably go back in the house, sit by the computer for a little bit, and then depending on how close to 10 it looks like you'll be on, I'll check in one more. And I should be here next week also. Thank you, Dennis.
Contact.
And thank you, Harvey. Contact acknowledged, and I'm hoping to be here next week as well. Radio number 4, the elusive HB 266 from Lafayette, a Hammerland by any other name, right? Interesting stuff. All right, we had a good run here. Let me pick up the breaking stations. I will get to you all, so don't go away. First, we will take the check-in contact station. Go ahead.
Yeah, thanks. We're looking for the old buzzard frequency.
This is the old buzzard frequency. You just got a decent demonstration of what an old buzzard transmission is in the true YAM fashion.
Perfect. That's what I was looking for. Very informative. Thank you, Harvey. 70 checking in.
All right, 70 checking in and checked in. If I grab my list here, and the world is now in balance. I was telling everyone, as I called your number moments ago, that you were gracious enough to check me in on Wednesday night, and I was going to return the favor, and now the Earth is rotating properly now.
Yeah, but you showed up on time.
Well, I mean, you would have taken me as a late or missed member or guest or whatever it is, as long as the net was running. The 6L6 is still glowing, so I think we're even.
There's never a late check-in on 28.445. All right, thanks, Dennis. Have a good evening.
All right, and we were talking about the Wednesday night net here in Central California at 28.445 Wednesday evenings at Pacific Coast time, daylight time of 8 p.m. For all you SWLs in and out of the area, give that a listen, especially if there's some, we not last week, but prior weeks, we've been getting some of the DX skip check-ins. So that'll be fun if you're licensed for that band or if you just like to listen in. All right, there was another station that made a comment or would like to comment. OTR is listening. Go ahead. The Breaker OTR. And I'm grabbing my SWL list once again and moving over to page 4. Go ahead, sir. All right, 195 checking in as I drop. I don't know if it's a page I need. No, it's not the page I needed. Dropping it on the floor, but it's a little different. I've got things in my lap and all sorts of stuff. I hear you. I hope you can hear me. Over. All right, thanks for being patient as we were having one of our old tube radio epiphany moments with a radio that I don't think in 35 years we have ever checked in, and something new and something different, and getting some information to our SWL. Stan, who also is knowledgeable on just about all stuff CB related. Ancestry.com has all the Sears catalogs from the first one to the last one. 1969 or 1970. My brain is not failing me, because I remember it was probably 1969 when I used to thumb through the Sears catalog as a little lad, hoping to buy all this stuff on my 25-cent allowance. So this is the Old Tube Radio Network. The Jingle Singers would like to tell us what is going on here. So let's let them do that as I try and find my paper on the floor. This is the Old Tube Radio Network.
How do you do? Ladies and gentlemen, greetings to you. Wherever you are, the friendliest station for you by far is known to all as
OTR, the Old Tube Radio Network.
The station for you is
OTR.
And we are looking for radio number 5.
Harvey?
Yeah, hello, radio.
Harvey?
Yeah, go ahead, number 20 here.
Number 20, I'm not part of your guys' club. But I just was over hearing you talking about Lafayette radios. I've got a 625 Lafayette that I purchased brand new in 1974, and I haven't used it Oh, hell, probably since 1976. Would you be interested in it?
A 625? Is that a solid state radio or I think it's solid state, right?
Yeah, it's a 23-channel solid state.
A 625. I might be just because. Will you be around next week?
Yeah, I'll be around. I'll give it to you if you want it. I bought it brand new. I'll tell you, Harvey, it was the best radio I ever had.
Well, let me tell you, I fell in love with Lafayette's a long time ago. I've still got my Telsat SSB 25, and I was so happy I got it. I thought it was the best thing around, and then they came out with the SSB 50, and I went, but I still have my 25. Yeah, I think I would be. I think I remember what it looks like, and I think I would be. So if you'll be around next week, we'll see about doing it to it. And you don't have to give it to me, whatever you think.
It's not problem, I don't need it. I have Blackfoot Johnson's, all kinds of radio. But that last 25, I used to have it in my truck. And I have a little 150-watt power bar on it. And I'll tell you what, I went around the world, it was an excellent radio. Anyway, Harvey, I'll let you go, and I'll find you out here next week, and we'll get together and I'll get it over to you.
Okay, sounds good. What part of town are you in?
I'm up between Churchill and Merced.
What part of town? Oh, okay. I'm at the north end of Fresno. So, and I do have a little extra power on. Okay, because this radio is a little weak, and Paul up in the mountains said, could I put the range boost on so he could hear me? So I did, and I left it on. Okay, what's your first name?
My first name's Russ. Oh, by the way, you're putting about almost 5 dB on me.
Oh, okay. I'm looking at this meter, which happens to say carrier level, and you're doing, well, I can tune the meter, so you're doing a 6.
That's not too bad. That's not too bad.
Okay, I'll let you go, and it's getting close, getting near that time, and I gotta go in for a little bit. Take care, Russ. I'll be back next week.
Okay, Harvey, are you on a beam?
No, I'm on, an Antron 99 style antenna with a ground plane kit up 20 feet. That's it. But I am in the north end of Fresno, right along 99.
Alright, yeah, I'm just talking off a big stick. Yeah, I'm probably 40 miles from you.
Well, we're big strappers tonight.
Boy, that's a deal. All right, Harvey, have a good evening. I'll catch you next week.
Okay, you too, Russ. Nice talking to you. Sorry, Dennis, I've been a little mouthy tonight.
Hey, not a problem. That's why we are here. And did you do all that transmitting on the Lafayette radio? It's a DX radio now.
Oh, yeah, I'm a big strapper on the Lafayette. Yeah, I haven't changed yet. I'm going to change to, quote, my favorite. And then, well, this is getting close to it now. But you wouldn't believe what I got to do to get this thing going. So the fact that it's still talking, I'm happy.
Sounds good. Hasn't missed a beat. About 800 cycles low, nice and loud. I'd be interested to hear how that would sound with a microphone with a little bit more low, a little more mellower. But for the DX Punch, it's working quite nicely. The Old Tube Radio Network, if you are watching us live or in the future, or is that in the past, listening in at oldtuberadio.net on your Universal Media Net web device, or Channel 11 right here in the Central Valley. We do this every Saturday, talking about the classic tube radios from the 50s, 60s, and 1970s. Just a reminder, we're not a club. There's no secret handshake. There are no dues. It's a voluntary association of people from everywhere who enjoy, just like you, who enjoy CB radios, especially the vintage style, and that's what we're talking about. We are listening for radio number 5 and any and all check-ins.
SWL 75.
Check-ins just like that one from the shortwave listener list. Those playing the home game, if you have page 3, you are very familiar with this voice, who has been there in the 75 position for a long, long time. Hello, Patrick, over.
Good evening there. This is SWL 75 checking in. Trying to listen to some of these old tube radios. Hoping to hear one of those Eagles maybe fly over.
We might get, I have good word that we are probably going to get one more, because we do have, where's my list tonight? We have at least one. Yeah, we've had 2 so far, but, you know, 3's company. So there's probably going to be another one flying over the control point here before we sign off. But in the meantime, I'm glad you were able to jump into the Radio Shack and wave a hand not only to us here at 27085, but the entire universe at oldtuberadio.net.
All right there. Well, thank you much there. I'm going to back on out of here. I got this little old handheld, just trying to get out and touch somebody. But anyway, you guys have a good evening. You got SWL 75.
You're about an S unit above my noise, but the audio is good, and I hear you just fine, 100% copy. So thanks for the extra effort tonight. 75, the Scrambler is checked in, and OTR is standing by.
Now, since it's a little quiet.
This is the little quiet frequency.
Okay, number 20. Checking in on the Browning Golden Beagle R68T68 from Browning Laboratories with the custom D104 with the Browning medallion on the back of the head of the microphone. Anyway, one of my favorite radios. Okay, picked this one up locally way back when. Before eBay and doing yard sales, and the guy said, CB radio, and he was 10 minutes away. So I went on by, he had it in his garage, walked up, I said, CB radio for sale? He said, yeah, it's there on the shelf. And I looked, and here's this thing. Golden Eagle R68T68 with a matching 180 next to it, and an unamped D104 with the Browning medallion on the back. He told me how much, and I said, okay, close your garage door, I'm going to go to the bank. And I had to go to the bank, inside, get the money, after I checked with my wife, and bought it. Only thing wrong with this thing was a cap here and there and a broken tube in the 180. And I was able to put it on the air, And then as far as that broken tube, I had to figure out where I could get it. And the only place that seemed to have it was Antique Radio Supply out in Arizona for $33 and some odd cents. And I said, I don't want to spend that. And my wife said, well, have you tried eBay? And I said, well, whoa, wait, what's eBay? And she took me over to the computer, you know, the thing I didn't know about, and she showed me eBay. Ouch. Second worst day of her life. Anyway, she hooked me on eBay, or I got hooked on it, and there you go. But, so I've had this just about forever. The second Browning I picked up, first one was the Golden Eagle Mark III. Anyway, back to you, Dennis.
Good story.
Back to me in the studio. Yes, eBay could be the downfall of many of us. Nice, loud audio. I've been hearing you a lot tonight, which is good because we haven't heard from SWL20 for a while on the old buzzard-style transmissions. And I'm going to have to go back and listen to the archives. This radio, or should I say your prior radio, is as loud as the Browning. I think the Browning, of course, the audio is much cleaner. But don't discount that HB266 for some rip-roaring audio. It doesn't quite, it comes close. Maybe it doesn't quite hold the candle to the Browning Golden Eagle, especially for clarity. But it's up there in loudness. The Browning Golden Beagle R68, T68, the Mark I, the Mark None, I'm not sure what you would call it, but it always sounds good. And thanks for the extra effort tonight. I want to make sure you don't overdo it. We want you to be able to get out of the radio room and back into the house.
Yeah, I should make it. Basically, there's not that much room to move around here, and I do have a chair on wheels, so I basically just been sitting there. Okay. Yeah, I like this radio. I do. This is the one with the on-air light on the transmitter and the three-position RF gain switch on the receiver. And yes, they're hard to find, but several months ago I did find, or less than a year ago, I found the transmitter that says spot on there instead of on air, and I mated it with a receiver that I found that's got the variable RF gain control on it. So I have technically both models. Now, from what I've seen, most people that have an R68, T68 model two-piece radio have this, the on-air and the three-position switch. And I've always wondered why, because basically all the other Brownings that have a type of RF gain control have the variable RF gain control. But for this model, they made a ton of the three-position switch models. But anyway, there we go. Okay, too much talking for tonight. I've made up for, I guess, when I haven't been around. Okay, back to you, Dennis.
Back to me in the studio. All right, thanks, Harvey. We were in good shape tonight and able to get some information from you. The radio, as always, sounds good. Not produced all that long between the R27, S23, and the Mark II. About a year. I probably the best deal at $395. Probably the best bang for the buck for a Browning radio out of the box. The Series 1, the Series 2, like you said, Series 2 you have with the on-the-air light rather than the spotlight. And some receivers have a variable RF gain control. There was an optional wood cabinet and the optional bass speaker. Sounds great as always. Thanks for checking it in. Looking at the time here. Plenty of time if someone is out there wanting to check in a radio, warming some things up. We have plenty of room on the radio list tonight. Or getting yourself checked in on the SWL side. OTR is listening.
Number 7.
And for our station that requested, actually they didn't request it. They just mentioned that if a few more of the Eagles could fly by, that they would be a happy camper. We are definitely fulfilling that mode of operation tonight. Hello, 7, over.
This time, the Browning Golden Eagle Mark III SSB with the D104 Golden Eagle microphone.
It's a Browning evening for sure. This would be, 2 notches up from the radio we just heard, the Mark II. After that, and there was a Mark II Series B with all sorts of stuff. And then the classic Mark III with big transmitter and the big receiver, especially if it's the sideband model, it has the big transmitter. And you just can't go wrong. I don't think there's any way to make those sound bad if you don't do something really wacko.
There you go. And the receive is quite good on them also. In fact, probably one of the best receive on any radio that I've got.
I've heard that said many time again. Perhaps the Tram D201 could give it a run for its money, but when you look at the controls, in fact, let's look at the controls. I have a picture. That would be the top unit, would be the receiver. You've got a variable noise blanker and the RF gain and the variable frequency control, but it's not just stuck on there. And some of the radios that the RF gain controls are like, there's not much linearity to it. But that one really, Browning really does work. There was some special filtering, I think, that they did. I don't know if they had the Collins mechanical filter in there or not. They might have. But they sort of looked at the good receivers of the day. How are the amateur receivers doing it, and worked that way. So I hear you on the receive side. I have yet, although I want to maybe do a shootout with the Mark III receiver compared to one of the modern day radios, like I've got a 920. Be interesting to just do it on 11 meters. Get a very weak station, have your AB switch set up, and see what the difference is between the 7300 and the Mark III. Now, sensitivity, selectivity, maybe quietness because of the digital whatever, the digi-wigi voodoo that the 7300 does. But it would be interesting to check a receive shootout on that.
Yeah, actually, on the same antenna, I've kind of checked it out, and they are actually very close.
Not bad for something that was 30, 40 years ago without the aid of IF Digital, DSP, whatever. Sounds good. You are radio number 6 with the Browning Golden Eagle Mark III SSB, produced from 1972 to 1976. And those went starting price about $650, and they ended up close to $800 at the end of the run. Back to you for transmission. Thanks for bringing it by.
Oh, and thank you, and Bozo Control, of course, for doing what you do. And with that, we'll take a listen.
And the Old Tube Radio Network listening. And maybe even counting and amounting. And Corey asks, what are our guesses on the term big strapper? How that came about, CB related. Who was the legendary first big strapper? Was it somebody that took their ICO 762 onto a Henry 8K linear amplifier? I don't know. And could we all be big strappers one time or another? You know, it's relative. I remember my first run at being a big strapper was when I had the Hallicrafters CB11A walkie-talkies. We had a couple in the neighborhood. You know, walkie-talkie, it's a speaker microphone. You're just talking in there. It's kind of muffled. And I found that if I took my little 3-inch rim drive reel-to-reel audio tape recorder and you could turn it into a little PA system, and I took a phono jack with that amplified PA audio and took the 2 wires and took the back off of the Hallicrafter CB11A walkie-talkie and clipped them right onto the speaker, which is actually the microphone, and then used the microphone on the recorder and put it into PA mode, and then keyed the walkie-talkie and talked into the microphone through the tape recorder to get that amplified audio. Yeah, it's basically just like putting a amplified microphone on a CB radio, but I didn't know that. All of a sudden, you were the big strapper in the neighborhood. Instead of just sounding all muffly, you were just really loud. It's like, wow. So that was my first. See, it's all relative. I was still 100 milliwatts, but that extra little amplified audio not coming through a speaker microphone turned me into a big strapper. OTR standing by.
Dennis?
This is the basic Dennis, over.
I had mentioned that Hallicrafters had one that they made for Sears, and I said it was similar to the CB7. I'm correct. It's kind of close to it. The CB7 had optional VFO and meter spots. The Sears one did not. And the Sears is the model 6550, and it's in Sam's Photo Fact Book 10, page 105. Anyway, and Larry, number 54, had that radio, and I was able to get that from him when he was thinning out the herd. So for that gentleman that wanted to know what Sears was similar to the 223, the 7535, book 27, I think it's 27, yeah, and book 10 is a 6550, Sears Silvertone 6550, which is similar to the Hallicrafter CB7. There you go. Okay, time for me to pack it in there, Dennis. It's about that time. Thank you.
And thank you. Everyone should be glad that there is not a test at the end of this Old Tube Radio Network tonight, because we've had a lot of information. The good thing is the video is working, so you can always scroll back or play back and hear what was said. Because I know I would be forgetting. Counting and Amounting here on the Old Tube Radio Network. Jingle Singers, are they quite ready? Where are they? Are we boring the Jingle Singers tonight? No, they're just listening like we all are to the great information here on your Old Tube Radio Network.
Let's do some spelling.
OTR. 27.085 megahertz. Channel 11, Old Tube Radio. Old Tube Radio.
I'm still adding and spelling, so if you got it ready to check in, there is room where we're counting and amounting the Old Tube Radio Network.
Break OTR.
The break OTR, go ahead, please, over.
50 checking in.
SWL50 checking in as we go to the big board and beacon out SWL50 all over the universe, and then get you checked in as well on page, did I already count page, what are you on, page 3? Yeah, page 3. But no, you're on page 2. Where is page 2? It's gone. Here it is. I put the X in the square. You know what? That gives us another, you've just added another total. Page 2 is now in the lead.
Cool. We are transistorized at the moment.
You still sound great, and of course, we don't discriminate between tubes and transistors as long as you can take a transmission on the old Tube Radio Network. That's a good thing. Thanks, Mark.
Have you had any robins this evening?
We have had a lot of birds flying over, but they've all looked like the Browning eagles.
Well, I don't think a robin is quite as impressive as an eagle, but let's go ahead and check this one anyways. A robin T123.
Let's indeed check that one in, mainly because I want to show a picture, and it is, did we have, no, the sonar did not. It'd be one of our only radio tonight that will have a Magic Eye tube. So there it is. So yeah, I think it's a perfect flyover for possibly our final radio of the evening. Over.
Oh, okay. Well, let me back up a minute. Another sonar radio had a Magic Eye tube. Is that right?
Negative. If I said that, I misspoke. I thought maybe, because that would be our oldest radio, the Sonar Model E, but of course it does not. So right now, the Robin T123 is holding the sole position of the Magic Eye tube.
Okay. Well, that's too bad. As I've said many times before on this particular radio, that was the main feature that drew me to this. It was my first tube radio at all in the stable here. What is this? The 6RE13, I believe. It's a great tube with this the astatic microphone. It's really winking and blinking. Wasn't quite so much with the original mic I had on this radio, but with the amplified mic, it definitely is quite active. Fun radio to use. Unfortunately, I still have not used this on the road in quite some time. I'd almost done that this evening, but I got too lazy.
This is the too lazy frequency. Well, it's got to be, all the planets have to align and things have to be just right. As you need antennas and wires and cables and connections. And so when the stars align, it will happen.
Well, it's going to happen soon because even though it's like 106, 107 today, I think relatively shortly it's going to be time to close up all the campgrounds in at least Central California, or at least most of them. So my chances of going and spending some time in the mountains is not going to happen for a whole lot longer. But this is a fun radio to use. Super simple. You got a microphone that you can screw in, screw out if you want, unlike a Gonzit. Just one piece, and you're almost good to go. You got to be careful with the antenna that you're going to be sticking on your car. But still fun to use. Hopefully not lose, nonetheless.
I definitely think so. It's been a long time since I've been camping, but usually the first or second week of September, especially up in Sequoia and Kings Canyon, they start shutting things down. I don't know if it's a staffing issue or what, but they sort of herd you into certain campsites. So yeah, you've got maybe a month before the good pickings start going away. If not, there's always the backyard, right?
I haven't done the backyard in a long time. I'm going to back up, though, to your previous statement. Within like a 2-hour radius of Fresno, where we're transmitting from. I think most campgrounds are going to be closing down within about a month or so. There are a couple that are kept open year-round, and fortunately, the one I'm most familiar with is closed because of dead trees. And for some peculiar reason, they wanted to close the campground down because they were afraid dead trees were going to be collapsing on campers. And, well, I guess by some folks' view that's a bad thing. But not a bad thing is this Robin T123 Bravo, which I'm trying to sneak in before you got to clear out.
You know, I thought you did that. I was going to make a comment about, did you change something in the audio? And, of course, you did. Not only did you change the audio, it's like, did you change your shoes? No, you put on the clown suit with the shoes. You changed the entire radio, and that's a good thing. That gives us radio number 8. Also gives me the possibility of switching the video as well, which I will do. And then popping that up. This is definitely a bit mellower sound, but it sounds good. Over.
Well, testing 1, 2, 3. Yeah, so this 123 Bravo, I don't have an amplified mic, unlike the other one. So especially at what is it right now, 10:13 Pacific time. You definitely got to scream in here, even though everyone else is starting to go to sleep. You got to practically scream into this one to get the modulational amp to work. I'm not. It's so late. I'm not going to mess with the range expand switch on this particular radio because it's not going to do much good. Besides make me sound much quieter if I switch it off. Still fun radio to use. I haven't taken this on the road at all. Although, unlike the previous radio, I do have the mobile bracket for this radio. It's kind of a curious thing to talk about. I don't think I've ever brought that up. My other Robin radio just came as it was, no bracket, but this one does have one. It's nice. I do have it mounted on the bottom side of the radio, so it's kind of a stand, but it'd be really simple if you had that 71 Ford Torino to just kind of pop that under the dash, screw it in there, and pop that radio up there, and then you're good to go.
The radio we're showing, which is from Cliff SWL 135 collection, is set up the same way with the mounting bracket on the bottom as a stand. The 71 Torino would probably be a good choice. The radio, I think, weighs 17 pounds. So you're going to have to mount it into something beefy to keep it from crashing down onto the transmission hump. And who was it? Brian, the mighty KUH, mentioning that his wife got a new Jeep Cherokee Trailhawk. And that's a nice vehicle, but there's no room for a radio. And there's certainly no room for this radio unless, like we mentioned earlier, you decide you can pull out the passenger seat or something like that. And these radios were meant to go mobile because of what we discussed earlier about how CB was sort of working as a base-to-mobile unit 1, unit 2 type of thing instead of hobby communications. Of course, we all know what happened there. It sounds good. You are Radio 8. The transition from the Robin T123 to the 123B was done well. A good, for those who would like to compare the radios, it was a good AB without having to do the AB. I want to say hello to, and we'll get right back to our new listener out of Florida, near Gulf Breeze. That sounds perfect right now, where it is 83 degrees in the radio room here at 10:15. Not sure what it is outside. Our temperature's going down below 100 tomorrow, I think. We don't have the high humidity that Gulf Breeze, Florida might. And Buck Naked over on the video side says he misses his old SBE Console 5. What is that, like a mid-70s radio? They were great, the SBE consoles. That's back when the tubes were going away. 72, 73, 74, all these, and CB was just roaring. All the Trinidads and the SBE consoles and the radios with the clocks and 16 knobs came out to entice you. I think that was one thing that helped the tubes go away. You could only do so much. The tubes, the tube radios, the good stuff was on the inside. But if you wanted a little bit of flash, you would either have to do something like Mike did and pull out the radio with the magic eye, or go to the dark side and do transistors, although we like transistor radios. Back to you, Mike, for transmission, and then I think the Jingle Singers are ready.
Hey, Mike?
Yes, sir.
Were you thinking of running one of the Robins in your car?
Are you kidding me? I always think about running a Robin in a car.
Well, you better have a good air conditioner. Those things get awfully hot. I wouldn't run it in the summer. You wouldn't need the heater in the winter.
Well, I don't know how far we want to go on this, but I will make a comment that the last time I used a tube radio in a car, I actually had the top down, so heat was not an issue.
All righty. I just wanted to check because those things get a little warm. See, I had a family for me. We'll be out.
Of course.
Any other stations wanting to check in here on the Old Tube Radio Network?
Comment.
The comment, go ahead, over.
Let me turn my power up here. The station checking in on that last radio sounded very nice at 12 kilohertz reception.
Sort of a wide banded on the AM mode?
Yeah, it was Mike's setup there.
All right, that was the 123B. So that's the Panasonic chassis. I think that is plate modulated. So in theory, we'll have to keep that in mind. And when some of the other Panasonic clones check in of that ilk, we'll have to see if it presents the same characteristics.
Yes, his S's were very, very pronounced.
It was nice and mellow. I would say he's not 100% modulated, but the fidelity is good, and like you just heard, the articulation. Is that what Mr. Heil, what Bob Heil says? The articulation is a good thing. Corey is doing some history research on Cycle 20. I want to say that's the one in 1958, 1959, that when you talk to some of the amateur radio guys that were around then, that's what they talk about. That was any radio works on any band with any power output, whether it's 1,000 milliwatts or 1,000 watts. We will have to see. I don't think 25 is going to be like the 1958 thing, but we could hope. Right now, it's getting a slow start. OTR, what's going on? The Jingle Singers are pounding on the glass saying they want to get out of here. So let me do this, and we'll be right back.
You're tuned to
OTR. Channel 11.
Right here in
Fresno, California.
Stay with us.
Old Tube Radio.
And be modern.
And we will be modern. I'm glad the video seems to be working. I hope it will archive. But thanks to all of you who remembered that it is there. And hopefully in this new format, it will stay up there and you can come back and listen to your playback. Of course, the playback's always available at oldtuberadio.net on the archive button at the OTR magnetophone. What did we do tonight? 8 radios, but some very good information. The most heard manufacturer, you could probably guess, was Browning Laboratories tonight. Run down the list. Starting with the Browning Golden Eagle Mark. Oh, wait, before I do that, where did it go? The SWLs. This is week 3, August 17th. We had 10 on page 1, 14 on page 2, 13 on page 3, and 17 on page 4. And welcome back to Tom. NQG. I will re-put him back at 113. So we got a Full house on page 4. 54 SWLs and 8 radios, starting off with the Browning Golden Eagle Mark IV. Mark IV sounding pretty good. And then we went backwards chronologically from there as we went through the R68, T68. That was Mr. Ed's, the one from Mr. Ed, his newest version, sounding good as it does, as it should. It's a Browning, right? The Sonar Model E from Paul, our one and only Sonar tonight. Nice audio on the Sonar for Radio 3. At 9:23, we got Harvey on the Lafayette HB266, the Hammerlin clone. Make sure to go back into the archives and get the information about that. And if you see one at the yard sale at the thrift store, mosey on over and put it into the bag and say, I'd like to buy this, please. And we might be able to help you out with getting it on the air. Radio number 5, Harvey on the Browning Golden Eagle R68, T68, so a pair of those tonight. Radio 6 is Mr. Ed on the Browning Golden Eagle Mark III SSB. So that gives us a total of 4 Brownings, the most heard. So we had 2 of the 68s, 2 of the Golden Eagle originals, and then a pair of Robins flying by for your dining and dancing pleasure from Mike on his Robin T123, pre-1972, and their updated version of the 123B for radio number 8. What else information do I have? I don't know. I think that's it. There are a lot of good, if you're into Facebook, a lot of good CB groups with information and a lot of helpful people out there if you have questions about your radio, so don't hesitate to do that if you are a Facebook person. If not, come on back to the Old Tube Radio Network, old school style, at 27085, and we will try and recreate the sound of CB the way it might have been when these radios were brand new, thanks to our radio operators. Cycle 20 is 1967 and 1978. Okay, that's the one I remember, Corey, because that's when I first I was talking about the CB 11A walkie-talkie and my stuff, and that I got in right in the middle of that. So whenever you turned on that little walkie-talkie, all you heard was just squealing. And so when you were trying to talk to your buddy down the block, that 100 milliwatts didn't go very far. So when I did my big strap thing with the audio injection, it made a big difference. It really did. It made a big difference in the distance you could hear that walkie-talkie during that Cycle 20 back in 1968 and 69. Cycle 19, of course, the one in the late 50s that when you talk to the really old timers, that's the one they're looking for. Good night, everybody. Let me just double check on the other board if there's some questions I need to answer if I can find. Where did the mouse go? No, it's not operating. Oh, no, is that it? Oh, maybe I won't. Oh, there it goes. The mouse wasn't working. These newfangled stuff. Stick to CB Radio 73. We're saying tonight. Thanks for those who stayed up late tonight here on Sunday evening. Thanks to SearchLawrence.com and Frodex keeping the Nixie tubes running, and thanks to all of you for keeping us running, the Old Tube Radio Network. We will catch you next week. Have a good week, and get on the radio, won't you?
Good night, Dennis.
Thank you very much, Dennis. Good night to all.
Thank you again, Dennis.
Harvey, do you have a thermometer out there?
I'm going to have to figure out how to turn this video off now.
Do I have a thermometer? Yes. You made me stand up. Well, I would have to stand up sometime. Hold on here. Believe it or not, I turn the air conditioner on in this outside shed room about 4 o'clock.
I don't think
Usually
I know
don't do
stop
it till
the stream.
6.
It's a whole different process.
78 degrees.
Oh, that's fantastic. Okay, well, now I don't feel quite so bad for having you out there. The 81 in here, man, I thought you'd be way above my 81. Well, good for you for braving the elements out there.
Well, maybe I'll call you and tell you what the situation is. But basically, once I get in a certain spot, I tend to want to stay there. Okay? So when I said, I'll just run back in the house, then I'll run back out. Well, there's no running for a while, and I decided, I'll just stay. Okay. We'll catch you later. Say hi to the family and the giant children, and we'll be out.
So, I think, I think pretty much since the last time you and I spoke, the giantess of the children.
Well, I hope I find that
is
URL.
now
Otherwise,
driving
this
her
video
own
stream is going to go on
automobile,
forever.
Around. But no, you can't.
Pull the plug,
you can't
thanks.
stick a big radio.
No, it's on a different
under the
screen
dash.
now. It's
But
not
she's,
on the
she's
streaming
driving
screen.
around
It's a
on
whole
her
different
own.
thing.
All right, go for it. You'll be tearing your hair out for a little while. Not long. She's a good kid.
Yeah, unlike her father, but we won't go on there. Go there. Okay, get inside. Hopefully it's cooler there. 73. Stay out of trouble.
Trouble finds me, even though I hide. Okay, take care. Catch you next week.
77 degrees in Chinatown.
And you know what I did is I separated it on purpose so that I'd be able to find it, because I realized that it was a separate thing. Oh, here it is. You know what I did? As I put it way down at the bottom of the screen.
Larry, was that you?
And then was covered up by something. All right. So I found the switch. No need to go crawling around on the floor.
Is that you, Mike?
It is. Is that you, Larry?
For these streams. So.
Yes.
Good night, everybody.
What are you chatting on? I heard you
on the live
quite a bit
stream
earlier,
and,
but
the audio is still going. Let's see if
different.
this works. 2 hours and 27 minutes
I can
of
barely
video.
hear you. Can you